My word, and I was 70 yesterday, so it has come home. And for the first time this morning on the tube, a young lady offered me her seat.
I hope to work forever, but, you know, it would be nice to stay really healthy and then just die quickly. But that doesn't, you know, that's a luxury not everyone gets.
I don't think 65 should be compulsory to retire. If you want to retire, you should be able to. If you don't want to, let them carry on.
I can still play football, cricket, dance, and all the normal things. Have sex now and maybe.
I feel optimistic that the future could come right. I can see we're coming up with innovative ways of looking after our older citizens. It would be terrible if damaging cuts ruined the good work that's being done.
Can you imagine where has the highest concentration of older people anywhere in the UK? The sort of place that could prefigure what's coming to the rest of the country. That place is Dorset. 29% of its residents are already retired, compared to some 19% in the UK overall. So visit Dorset and you're looking at the future.
If you remember, the whole Transforming Social Care agenda is a very broad agenda set a couple of years ago to look at responding to fundamental changes and pressures that we've got for demand for services.
As the pressure on budgets mounts, councils across the country have to find ways to make less go further. In Dorset, nearly a fifth of the budget already goes on older people. 29% of people in Dorset are over retirement age or thereabouts. That's a huge challenge for this county, isn't it?
Indeed it is. The approach needs to be that in the resources that we've got, and they are limited, we need to make sure that we've got the right services in the right place for the right people at the right time.
The bad news is that today only 1 in 10 councils has allowed for the cost implications of an ageing population. The current economic climate threatens the vulnerable old. Dorset is setting an example. They've been piloting a scheme that it's hoped will be rolled out across the country. It's called Reablement, and it's claimed it both saves money and improves quality of life.
Traditionally, domiciliary care services have gone into people's homes and done things to them. And this is much more about doing things with and doing things that enable a person to get to a point where they don't need the service.
Morning, Rose. Hello.
Yeah,
how are you
hello.
this morning?
All right, thank you.
Good.
88-year-old widow Rose Collis fell and broke her arm. She's now on the special 6-week intensive rehabilitation scheme.
Well done. That's good, isn't it?
Her carer, Sue Wall, and her colleagues visit up to 4 times a day to help with everyday tasks. The idea is to get Rose back to the independence she enjoyed before her fall, so she doesn't need continuing care.
We generally try not to do it all for them. We try to make, encourage them then. I mustn't say make them, because we don't. We encourage them to do as much for themselves as they can.
Yeah.
See if she wants another walk.
The service is new, but so far both Rose and her daughter Pat are pleased with what's being provided.
I just think they're treating her as things come along, not making it seem as though it's anything different from the normal daily routines, but just helping her along in a natural way without being too sort of forceful.
So, Rose, you're soon, when they finish this particular course of looking after you, you're going to be left on your own again.
I will be left on my own, but I got my 2 girls handy if I want them. Then we have a warden coming every day, just to see you're all right, you want anything. So I'm very well, really, yeah.
Hi there, it's Lynn on Reablement.
The scheme's free, and the idea is that councils spend now to save ongoing costs in the future. So far, 3/4 of those on this pilot scheme needed less care afterwards.
You're very keen on this scheme, this strategy to keep people well. Is it because it's saving you money?
Oh, well, that's a driving force, certainly, because, again, it's about making sure that if we're doing that work earlier, then we're preventing potentially longer-term costs.
So what does the future hold for our social care? And who should pay for it? The government could pay for it all, but we can be sure that's not going to happen for any but the very neediest. We could pay for it all ourselves, but that only works until all our money's gone. So is there another option? Some kind of compromise?
It should be a partnership. Those costs should be shared between the individual and the state.
Are we going to have to make it compulsory?
There is a lot of international evidence that says that if you really want to make proper funding provision for care in old age, you've actually got to have some sort of compulsory scheme. Otherwise, people will hang on to their money and take the risk.
The government's announced yet another commission into how we fund social care for the elderly. It's due to report within a year. But when you're old, problems won't wait. You need help immediately. Whatever happens, it's unlikely we'll follow Scotland's example, where free social care was introduced in 2002, but where costs are set to double in a generation.
We have to have an open debate about how we pay for care, and it will involve individuals paying more than they currently do and the state providing more than it currently does, because the pressures on the system are so huge.
So what should the government do? We took our sofa out onto the streets for the last time.
What do they want us to do, these politicians? Commit suicide? That'd help them out, wouldn't it? Mass suicide.
I actually think that most people would be prepared to pay a bit more, those that can earn, in their tax to look after the more vulnerable in society. I would hope so.
Families, you know, particularly if someone's not very well, should, you know, support the person that's brought them up their entire lives.
It's much harder for the next generation. I'm worried about my children and my grandchildren more than I am for myself, really.
Old age can be golden, a time to rest and enjoy ourselves after a long life. But for too many of us, worries about money and care can spoil the pleasures of our autumn years. This is a matter for everyone. We will all be frail one day. Right now, there is a real danger of neglect. We simply can't let that happen.
Dame Joan Bakewell there, and how we pay for the care of our elderly is likely to be a thorn in the side of the government for many years to come, with 1 in 4 babies being born today expected to live to at least 100.